Hey everyone, Mr. Devil here, Kenny Danico, 3-time Stanley Cup champion of the New Jersey Devils, and you're listening to the Uncle Puckers New Jersey Devils podcast with Chris, Dan, Bobby, and Tony, the Uncle Puckers. Let's go Devils!
The intro is stripperific.
Quaaludes and mustaches. That's what I pictured during that intro.
Nice. We are the Uncle Puckers with Tony, Dan, Bobby. I'm Chris, and want to first off apologize for the abrupt ending to the last show due to internet gremlins and apparently bad Wi-Fi in Pennsylvania. We lost half of the show, so we do apologize. There was a good 45 minutes. Let me tell you guys, it was probably the best 45 minutes of podcasting in the history of podcasts.
Definitely.
I mean, It was so fantastic. I was shocked. I actually was like, this is the show. This is the last 45 minutes. This is what's going to take us to the next level.
You know, it's not lost. And we do need to play that at some point because the way it came out, it's not right, but I find it hilarious.
But
I find
at
it
least we got
manic and crazy. I feel crazy listening to it. So
at least we got the devil you know in, though. At least we got the devil you know in. That's, you know.
Yeah, we got that.
Yeah. We let your Rain Man characteristics shine through again. Are we even keeping track anymore? Because it's over.
No.
I mean, there's no fucking way that anyone's going to catch Tony. Well, not you, not Bobby, not me, nobody.
Tony definitely won this season, but season 2 will start in the first week of the hocky season. So
we might have to just start doing the hockey player, you know.
Tony's gonna.
The devil.
Come on, we only did like 20 of them. So. It was a horrible ending to a good show last time. So what happened was I got to a point where apparently Bobby, when you froze and then you came back on, apparently that lag was there, and it was so I would talk and then it'd be you answering what I'm saying as I'm saying it, and then there's like where you're supposed to talk, it's no sound for like a minute. And then Dan will hop in, and then it'll get back to me because we were doing like a round table thing, and it gets back to me, and then I'll start asking a question, and you're answering.
Bobby's just talking over you the whole time.
Bobby was
sounds like a lot of me. It sounds like it's still a really good show. So.
It sounds like you're so crazy that you don't even care that you're talking over everybody at all. I love
this show I've been trying to get to.
Dan was actually dying on the last show. He was like, Dan was just so sick that he thought he was just going to keel over.
Yeah, definitely. Feeling better today.
What it reminded me of was like me, Tony, and Dan were doing a show, and Bobby like hopped in afterwards and just started like talking over everybody. Like it was like he was completely, completely not linked up with us at all.
Not only was he not noticing he was talking over us, he wasn't listening to a damn thing we said. It seemed like
exactly,
and that's what was crazy about it. I loved it.
He kind of took over the Rain Man title for like about 10 minutes there. You know, he was just spitting out stuff left and right.
It's all part of my master plan just to phase myself out.
Hey, listen, you can go anytime you want. Okay,
I'm involved now.
But so we do have some fun stuff to do today. We do have the second half of our True False Over Under. We're going to do that today. I have my Eastern Conference power rankings that we can go over, and anything else that comes into anybody's head. So how about we just start off with the True False Over Unders? You guys want to do that? So we did our first. I just had the page over here, and then I just closed my notebook for no reason. Give me 1 second, and we will get right back.
Yeah, and now. Chris actually wrote down our initial attempts at this, and we were saying there's a good chance we might change our minds. Some of these were so close anyway that I don't even remember exactly what I said.
All right, well, then you're going to see now because we have
here we go.
The data to back up what we said originally. So this will be question number 17. We had done 1 through 16 earlier on a previous show. You can always go back and find that if you want to go over that. So the first question for today is, The Devils, in their 40-plus years in the NHL, have never had a 50-goal scorer. Will this be the year? We'll go Bob, Dan, Tony, back to me. Will this be the year that the Devils have a 50-goal scorer, Bobby?
Yes, this will not be the year they have a 50-goal scorer. Jack will get a lot closer, but he will miss 50.
And Dan?
I think that he will make 50. That's tough. That's tough to do.
Tone?
I agree with the other dudes. He's not going to get 50. I'm thinking maybe 46, 47.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of guys on this team that could score 50. I just don't know. I'm going to say no, too. I'm going to go no. I don't think so. Are they going to score 10 goals a night, really? I mean, it just seems like there's so much potential of guys that can score throughout the course of a season that somebody's personal numbers might take a little bit of a hit just because of that.
It's going to be so
you've added
balanced.
More offense with Toffoli in there, too, so you're going to have another guy taking some goals. I mean,
all right. Now, the Tampa Bay Lightning have been they were out in the first round last year, I thought. But before that, 3 Cup finals in a row, 2 wins. Do the Tampa Bay Lightning have another run in them? And I'm saying up to, let's say, the Eastern Conference. So can the Lightning make it to the third round of the playoffs, or are they toast? Bobby?
I don't think they have another run in them. I think that they're still a great team, and they could certainly win a round or two. I just think they're on the wrong side of the age and just heading down. Not that they're bad, but not that deep of a run.
But winning a round or two, winning 2 would be in the Eastern Conference Finals.
So I give them a round.
Okay. Dan?
Okay, yeah, you put it that way. You only have to win 2 rounds to make it to the conference finals. That's not out of the realm of possibility for this team, that's for sure. But is it likely? No. My conference final pick does not include them. With the 2 teams to make it. I just don't see them as a top 4 team, even 3 team, 3 or 4 team even in the Eastern Conference.
Okay. Tone?
Yeah, I think they can. I mean, they've got really they spent 3 years in the Cup Finals. They obviously everyone thinks they're gonna kind of lose it, but they've done some stuff. They already in the offseason. They got Connor Sheary. They signed Hagel again today for another.
Yeah, they signed 8 years today, right?
Yeah, 8 years, $52 million. I don't know. Lightning with Vasilevsky, how can you count him out? And Kucherov and Stamkos. If you really look at that Braden Point, I mean, they really have a pretty damn good lineup. And Coop's a great coach. I don't know. I can't. They could definitely have a chance.
I think Cooper is one of the best coaches in the league. And I think with Vasilevsky, all the points that you just said, Tone, which you said no last time we did this. So this time you're going to say yes, that they do have another run.
Well, they signed Hagel today. I thought the Hagel move was a nice move today.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that they're too good of a team, and the nucleus is still there. I can see them making it to an Eastern Conference final or better this season. So
it's definitely in the realm, but just to back up what I'm saying, there's better younger teams that got better that are really itching to take that next step forward. And I just feel there's kind of that momentum on some of those team sides like Carolina, us, maybe even Toronto.
I agree. All those teams are good. I just think that this team's not as cooked as I think that a lot of people think they are. Sure. I do think that they are a very good hockey team that could make a push.
I know they lost Killorn this year, but I don't know they didn't really have many big losses, I would say. Killorn's gone. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think they could.
All right, over under. The Devils had 5 20-goal scorers last season, 6 if you want to count Timo, but we're not going to. So we'll just say 5 20-goal scorers this year. Over under 5. The Devils will have more or less than 5 20-goal scorers this season, Bob.
They are definitely going to be over, maybe by a couple.
And Dan?
I'm thinking 7, possibly 8. So I don't see any problem making 6. Just for the fact that, like the Timo, you left him off and put him on this year, but now we got a couple others who could easily make that. It would be a great thing to have 7 and 8 or 8. So a lot of things have to happen, right? But I think it's more likely than not they'll have more than 5. Yes. Yeah,
I agree. And Tone?
Yeah, I think so. Also, I mean, just with Bratt, Hughes, and Timo, you think you're going to get 5 right there. Some 20-goal scorers right there. And this roster is really pretty stacked. So, I mean, I would picture like 6 or 7.
Yeah, I mean, I see a world where maybe we have 5 30-goal scorers. You know, I'm going to go over too.
Yeah.
This team is loaded. So, and I know we said it. I'll keep saying it. I honestly believe the only thing that can derail this team this year is injury. So, yeah, they can definitely have more than 5 20-goal scorers. So, Timo Meyer. Nope, I'm sorry, wrong question. Where am I? Over under. There's an over under. Jesper Bratt had 73 points in the last 2 seasons. 73 on the nose. Over under 73 points for Jesper Bratt. Bobby.
I have to go over. Big stepping stone year for him, right? Like we talked about before. He's got the contract. He's got the skills. He's got the line mates. He's got a lot of people that could pass him the puck. I don't see any reason why he can't break that.
All right. Dan?
Yeah, this is one of those ones that I thought was a little closer than some of the other questions. I feel like, there is a strong possibility he won't, but when you really look at it, for the reasons Bobby said, it's the best opportunity you're going to get. But you know how it is. I also feel like there's this thing that you kind of get with sometimes when the player has signed that long-term deal, right? That first year out, I don't know if it's complacency or settling in or whatever it is, or maybe even weird pressures. Sometimes they don't. So, you got to say that's looming out there. That being said, I'm hoping the contract works for him, not against him, and I'm hoping he has one of his better years ever. So, yeah, I'm going to take the over.
All right.
Optimistically.
I'm going to take the under on this. I think that with him, I would be more happy with a consistent year. Like, because last year was very streaky. So I don't know. I think he could score under those points, actually. I just, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't put up 74, you said, right?
Yeah, 73.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he was under that. But like I said, if he's consistent, then hey. But
yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, he is definitely streaky, but I'm going over. I just think, he got paid, man. You got your term. You got everything you wanted. You're on a top 6 of a really good team playing with some awesome guys. There's really no reason that he shouldn't be over 73.
And that's one
I'm
going to
take the over.
So, it's just one of those you hope
Mm-hmm.
you're not correct.
All right. The Devils were 13th on power play last year. 13th in the league at 21.9%. Over under 13th in the league for power play, Bob.
Before I get to this, I got to just say, like, behind the curtain kind of deal, like they say in radio, boy, there's like this nervous energy knowing we've answered these questions before. I don't know if it's just you guys, or it's just me, but like, I'm sitting here like, am I just worried about competing with myself or what? But I feel way different than I felt the other night. I'm just answer the question, damn it. But I'm just feeling weird.
Everybody has answered exactly the same as they did the first time, except Tony on the second question, which was about the Lightning. And other than that, everybody else is. See, I'm not nervous because I have the original answers. But if it would make everybody feel better, I can just start a completely new page and forget what I'm looking at, and we can just do it.
No, it's fine. I'm just thinking out loud.
Because you guys just see me making little notes in my notebook.
Staring at me.
Tony
did I get it right?
Tony is an idiot, and I'm just writing shit like that.
Tony's been back in Tampa all year, and now he changed his tune.
I know, right?
All right, so, I mean, 13th in the league, power play, Bob. What do you think?
Yeah, over. They're going to be improved, top 10. I see that in any team that's taken the next step forward, but their specialty teams, I expect both sides to be improved.
All right. And Dan?
Yeah, specialty teams were good last year. Power play had room to grow. And if this team can't make that power play improve compared to last year's team, then something's wrong, right? We should definitely see an improvement there. And that's a really great thing because being in the top third is nice, and which is they were more or less close to the top third, I guess. And now what you really would like to see is them in the top 10% or so, top 3 or 4 teams, 5 teams in the NHL. That would be great going into the playoffs, and that's what I think they can well achieve. So, yes, over.
All right. And Tone?
I'm going to say over.
I mean,
what you guys are saying, so.
I mean, they with the weapons on this team, for some reason, they just didn't the power play was that one thing that should have been so much better last year. And I think that part of it was that they were constantly looking for the perfect shot. And, they would keep possession of that puck. They would pass it all over the place, and they would wait for a perfect shot instead of doing what they ended up doing, I think, a lot later in the season, which was get Hischier in the front. You get it back to Hamilton, let him get that thing on goal, his slap shot. You can't stop it. And they scored so many goals later in the year just with not trying to get too fancy, just get the shot on net and make it happen. If they can do that, and hopefully with Green as the assistant coach, he can pull something out of them on the power play.
That's an interesting thought. Green might have an effect.
Yeah, I mean,
it's from a technical point of view, the only thing that I would like to see them do more in the power play is you just describe the play. That's the play. Throw it to Hamilton, let him put the bomb on. So many times I'm like, what if somebody's in front there? Like what if somebody's – and now we've got units where I think they're going to kind of do that with some of this, scrappy guys we got doing that. So that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, the team should have a lot more grit this year too, just with the few extra people that they have. So, dirty power play goals are where it's at.
More deflections, more rebounds.
Yeah. Stop trying to get fancy. We all know that you're one of the best skating teams in the league, and you could pass that puck, and your transition game is as good as anybody's in the league. But
it seemed like they were in love with those tic-tac-toe goals, which are beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but not every power play goal should be a tic-tac-toe goal.
Right. On the power play, you just take it. Just take the dirty goals and get off the ice. That's it. I'm with you. I'm going to say over. They really should be for all the weapons that they have. Question number 6. Last year, Round 2, Game 5, it all came to a crashing halt, and we were sent home. Will the Devils make it past Round 2, Game 5 of the playoffs this year, Bob?
Yeah, I do remember this one.
That's an over-under, so.
Was looked a little bit like completing the round, but the question is further than Game 5 in the second round. And yes, I absolutely believe they will go further than Game 5 in the second round.
Okay. And Dan?
Yeah, they have to. I mean, what would stop them? We're taking the hypothetical where this team stay healthy and make it to the playoffs, and they don't go further than last year. Something would be wrong, right? As far as the matchups they're going to have in the playoffs, which may or may not figure into that, what's likely is they're going to have the same or better matchups ahead of them. And as far as advancing to that third round, or even deep in the second round. I have to take the over on this by a mile.
All right. And Tom?
See, this is a question that when you asked last time, there's one key to this question that I didn't pick up on was the fifth game.
Right.
And I believe last time you asked me, I said they would not. But I also wasn't paying attention to the fifth game thing, and I think they will make it further than the fifth game in the second round.
Which is what you said last time, that they would make it past it. Yeah, you went over.
Game deal. Okay.
So you give yourself some credit. You paid attention.
Yeah, you paid attention. I agree. You can't go into this season thinking that this team's going to be worse than what they were. They weren't, with all the work that they did in the offseason and another year with these guys together, the nucleus together, the guys that they brought in. Yeah, I mean, you got to play for a cup, right? I mean, you got to make a serious run for a cup. So, over. Number 7, Timo Meier will lead the team in hits this year.
Yes, I believe Timo Meier will lead the team in hits this year.
True. Okay. And Dan?
I remember struggling with this a little bit, just trying to make sure I was going through the lineup, everybody we got who's likely to hit, and in the end, we have added some guys there, which is great. But, I think somebody might have been you, Chris, mentioned Palat. That's a possibility. But, in the end, I think that's going to be Meier's title.
All right, Tone?
Yes, I think he will.
Yeah, I think so too. He's there for that reason, along with his 30-plus goals. But, he's there to be a physical presence. I think that Timo Meier is going to hit anything that fucking moves on the ice this year. I'm really looking forward to that. All right. Question number 8. Vitek Vanacek and Akira Schmid, true or false, will be the tandem going into the playoffs for the Devils this year. True or false, Bobby?
This was the deep conversation again, for sure. I'll stick with what I remember I said, which is that they will be. I don't see this big trade coming mid-year. I think this is the year that the last year they're going to get the shot at it. So they will be the two going into the playoffs.
All right. Dan?
Yeah, I definitely struggle with this too because, boy, if circumstances arise and you are Fitzgerald and you have the ability to pick up a Hellebuyck this year, I don't know how you don't take it. When I say circumstances, I mean a deal that's not going to hurt the team. He's just sitting there. I would maybe say, okay, I'm going to grab him and I'm going to put one of my guys on ice, and this is it. I have to do this. That said, how likely is that? That's the question. And so it goes back to the, don't we get a goaltender this year? Not just from our perspective, but, but from who else is in the market for him and what it's going to cost his team. I think from what I've seen, it's very possible the circumstance is not going to be there to get this goaltender without hurting the team. Because I think if it was, we might have seen it in the offseason. Okay. So in the end, I'm going to stick with these two. But I'm definitely on the fence. I've thought about this even after the first time we went through this list. It's something I go back and forth on. The truth is, I don't know about the date, the deal, and exactly how much it's going to cost us. I'm just kind of looking at it and going, well, we couldn't get those guys so far this year in some kind of sign and trade deal, but that doesn't mean it's not possible. It's a trade deadline, so tough call.
All right. So, but you're saying true.
I have to go with true at this point. I don't know if that's what I said because it's that close for me.
No, you said true. And you, Tom?
Yeah, I think they'll be in there. I don't think we're going to make a goaltending move before the season starts, and I do think they'll be the tandem.
I'm going to go with false. I do think that we all have concerns about goaltending going into this season, so I know full well that management has a concern about goaltending, and I don't know if it's going to be Hellebuyck, if it's going to be a Swayman or an Ullmark, or if you're going to try and maybe pull one of those guys out of Boston. I just think that Tom Fitzgerald will make a move, and I know that Vitek, Vanacek, I have no faith in come playoff time. I think he can have a very good regular season, but Akira Schmid's the future. He needs most of the reps. If it's Akira Schmid as the number one and Vitek backing him up, I'm a little bit more comfortable. But if it is still where Schmid is still maybe back down in Utica once in a while this year, I don't know what their plan is. I'm just saying I like Schmid. I'm tepid on Vanacek. I think that Fitzgerald is going to make a move, whether it's before the season, whether it's before the trade deadline. I don't know, but I'm going to go with false. I probably will be wrong, but I'm going to go with false. Now, the power penalty kill last year for the Devils was fourth in the league, an outstanding PK at 82.6%. They were outstanding on the friggin' power penalty kill. Over under fourth on the kill. Bob?
Yeah, this is a tough one to look at because of how many things have to go right to be in the top five. And I could still see them being almost as good, but under fourth, somewhere in the top 10 still, but maybe take a step back without even statistically taking too much of a step back.
Yeah. All right. And you, Dan?
Yeah, this is interesting because it's such a small target. That bullseye's a pinprick right here. It's not even just top five, Bobby. I mean, that's an accomplishment. You're right. But to be over, they got to be in the top three. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
So that's crazy. That is tough. I think in the end, I kind of said, hey, why not? And, I'm going to blame that COVID, and this is my COVID recovery. Matt says no. Sorry. I think they're going to do great.
I'm going to say under. I'm going to say that it's really, that was a great, last year was awesome. And I hope that they get to there again, but I think it's, the expectations are a little high to see that repeat again this season. So I'm going to say under.
Yeah, I'm going to go under too. I think it will dip a little, but it's not going to be anything that is going to be noticeable. I don't see it falling off a cliff.
Won't be a concern.
I see them in the top 10, no doubt, on penalty kill. So I'm going to go under just because they were so good last year. Like you said, Bob, it's really hard to get any better than that. Like you said, 1, 2, or 3. I'm going to go with the under.
I don't even know what the numbers were, but we might be talking tenths of a percentage point between 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, I know that.
I don't remember anymore. But it's really later. They're all really close, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so
they are.
One's as good
close.
As the other, you know.
And so 40 goals for Ovechkin, over or under this coming season. Does Alex Ovechkin score 40 or more, Bob? Over or under?
Over. We've discussed as a team many a times that they're just going to be throwing him that puck. They don't have much else to do. They can say that they're not giving up and going for it, but they're not one of the primary contending teams. So it's get him the record, get people in the building, and the guy's still got tons of talent. So yeah, over.
And you, Daniel?
I think last time I stated 2 reasons for saying no, he's not going to make it, and those were hate and spite.
Yes,
and I'm definitely going to stick with them, but I will just elaborate and say that beyond that, you guys make a good argument that they're going to try to be this one-player team just for asses in the seats. But I also hope a lot of the goaltenders around the league and defenses and around the league look and go, hey, this team's its weakest. They're doing – like it's easier for your defense knowing that that's all they got. You know, when he was scoring a lot of those goals, there was other people on that line you had to cover. But if they're going to be so one-dimensional, it might work against them. And you might be easier to cover. You know, he's not like a playmaking magician like Gretzky, where you just didn't know what he was going to do, no matter how bad of a team he was on. He could hurt you in so many different ways. Ovechkin has a laser beam from the same place on the ice and has scored almost all his goals that way. You know, he's a gritty player. He earns that place, but it's got, you know, it's a one-dimensional type of score, which is pretty remarkable for approaching the all-time record in number of goals. You and I know there's very few goals that look like maybe Jack Hughes goals in his backlog of goals. He's kind of one-dimensional. So I think that if his team sucks, that's a real good reason why he's going to get the under, because his one-dimensional play ain't going to allow him to keep other teams guessing. How's he going to hurt me next?
Okay. You, Tom?
So for Ovechkin, to me, is obviously a great player. I think he's actually could be said to be maybe one of the best players. You know, I don't think he will, and the reason I think he won't is because I think injuries possibly. You know, that's an aging core on that team. That's one thing Washington does have right now. So I think that may stop him this year, and I think they'll do anything. Like I think it was Dan was saying that to get him this, you know, he will get this number. But I tell you, he is one-dimensional, but he may be one of the best hockey players I've ever seen play because he is dominant.
He does what he does really well. I'm not really trying to slight him. There's a whole bunch of things I'm not like making him one of my personal favorites all the time. But there's no doubt that he's great, and he definitely is amazing. But I'm just saying his weapons against the other net, they're kind of limited for somebody with so many goals. He just does it better than anybody else in that style.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100% with what Bob said. As far as, you know, he's been doing what he's doing forever from that spot. And even though, Dan, I agree with you that he's not going to be able to, you know, people are going to know what they're doing, what he's doing and what the game plan is. But I kind of feel like they've always known that with Ovechkin, and he's always able to just keep doing it. You know, wheel him out, put him in the circle, and just friggin' get him the puck and let him hit that slap shot. Yeah, he'll get 40. I'm going to go over. He'll get 40. And that, like you said, Bobby, I agree 100%. That is all that this team is going to be preoccupied with over the next 2 years is making sure Ovechkin breaks the record. All right, question number 11. Is it true or false? Connor McDavid will win the scoring title again. Bob?
It is true. There's no one catching him just yet. It's going to take maybe even a couple more years. The guy's just kind of head and shoulders above a lot of the competition. Maybe someone gives him a run, and by run, you know, 20-something points closer. But no, he'll win it.
He blew the pack away last year. Yeah. It wasn't even funny. So what do you think,
That
Dan?
might be the best player I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, like Bob said, who's even close? But wouldn't it be amazing? And I know it's probably what the NHL wants, and I think it would be amazing to see the rookie Bedard come in and take the crown first year out. That would be amazing.
That ain't happening. But...
No, I don't think it's happening either. I mean, McDavid was amazing, and he had a great first year, but nothing like that. So, you know, I don't know. I guess they say Bedard's great. We're going to find out if he's that great, but I don't think so.
Well, I think that I don't know if we all picked him to win the Calder Trophy. I got to go back and look at those in the last ones that we did. I think we all did pick him to win it.
No, I think I said no.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, maybe you. I
You
think
were the
maybe
one-
yeah.
you
maybe
told me to
one
take a
of us.
risk because I was kind of leaning on the
That's
Luke Hughes
right.
train and some other guys, so I took the risk. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we'll see. But you think that he'll win it again, right, Dan?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And what about you, Tone?
Yeah, I think he will. He has stupid numbers. He has the kind of numbers that you'd have to actually double check it if you didn't really know and someone told you how many goals this guy's putting in a season.
Right. You don't believe him.
Insane. Yeah, it's
It's
insane.
like double your best hopes usually.
Yeah. I mean, he's just. I gotta. He might be one of the, like Bobby said, the best player I've ever seen. I've never seen a guy that had that much skill and that much speed, all combined, the size, everything about him. I mean, he's
That's
fantastic.
what I mean. He's got so many different ways to hurt you.
Chris, you made a comment
yeah, he
last
does.
time when we recorded that no one heard, and you made a really good. who may be the runner-up, right? It may be his teammate. And that was your.
Yeah, it might be. It could be.
Oh,
It
yeah.
could be.
I remember hearing
Draisaitl.
that.
Yeah,
I mean,
could be
that was-
Draisaitl.
I'll
That
tell
was
you.
very true.
First time I saw him in New Jersey, I had heard, like, I saw him on TV, but it wasn't the same. And I go there. It was one of the opening days, I believe. And just like every time he was on the ice, he was in front of the whole pack. It seemed like it was just like a permanent breakaway. His
Yeah.
speed, the way he would cut through people was incredible.
He's ridiculous. He really is. All
And
right,
we went
next
to
question.
We went to
Oh,
Sweden,
sorry.
Edmonton, the Devils Edmonton game in Sweden. Like that was it was Taylor Hall, and then and McDavid were the two like on the side of buildings. It was like that was the market for them for those teams. And watching him play,
McDavid's amazing how
that's
fast he changes like directions. That's his whole
Yeah,
thing.
it's just-
That nobody can change direction on any direction they want at that speed. His skating is like no other. His hands are amazing. Don't get me wrong. There are other guys out there with hands that you could say, oh, his are a little better, or his, they're all the same. Nobody does those directional changes with such speed, and that's why nobody can stop him.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
amazing.
his edge work is ridiculous.
Exactly.
Absolutely. All right, true or false? Alex Holtz will make the Devils team coming out of preseason. Bobby?
I feel like I'm rehashing a story here. Yes, he will make the team out of preseason. I have come back down to earth and said that doesn't mean he's staying. I think there might be some other guys that could earn his spot. But I think part of the experiment of Alex Holtz, even if he's not the best player that they could pick from, like out of the 3 spots they need, I think he might earn it based on his potential and what they've done with him so far in development. And he needs that shot to find out if, in fact, he's got a future with this team.
Dan?
I'm kind of saying no, and I get it. Like, this is a tough question for me because what does it really mean, right? Make it where for how long with this team? What was the exact
Just
parameter of it
that
again?
coming, I'll say game one. Game one, he's in the
But he's not going to necessarily get playing time. He's just got to be on the roster.
No, he'll be in the lineup, not just on the roster.
In the lineup.
I guess he could be on the roster and be a healthy scratch. He will be
like,
up with the team. He just will not be in Utica. He will be up with the team. And if you have him up and he's a healthy scratch in game one, then what are we doing here? Just send him the fuck back down, or you either.
But that
trade
kind of
him
stuff
or-
happens sometimes.
Sure, but I think, I mean, so with this, yeah, he has to be on the team. So you can say,
Yeah, and I think he made it last year, and boy, he came out great, right? Scored the first goal of the season.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And then he quickly fell off. And I think that's not forgotten. His playing time is reduced. Now we've got this camp with so many guys. Who are you going to actually cut from this team now? I have not sat down and really said, okay, here's my lines. Who am I leaving out? But I think Alex Holtz is one of them.
okay, all right. What about you, Tone?
I do not remember what I said last show on this one, but I'm going to say no. I don't think he'll make the roster, and I believe that's what I said because it's kind of how I feel, and I mean, I don't see it happening.
I mean, Alex Holtz is definitely in the plans for what this team wants to do moving forward. So because of that, and because he is a first-round pick with a super high ceiling,
Good point.
I do think he will be in the lineup. I don't know if he'll stay there, like we talked about, but he will be in there to start. And the next guy is the same, true or false. Simone Nemec will make the team out of training camp. Bob?
Oh, okay. Here's mine that I gotta. All right. My gut says no. I think he's a little bit of depth in the beginning. Miller's probably going to earn the spot. I do see him being called up at some point during the year and probably staying. But breaking camp, no, he'll stay in the minors.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob, like you, I am so 50-50 on this that I don't even remember exactly what I said, right?
So close.
Because it is that close. And I will tell you that, this is a crazy stack defense. You got to count 6 out. And I think I said, yes, I'm feeling more like positive on his chances, the ability to make so. But I think I'm kind of neglecting that. So am I going to change that? Yeah, I'm going to come down to reality off the fever dream. He's probably not meant for this year, which is unfortunate because, everybody feels like the future is now. Let's bring all the good. Remember, there's 6D. What are you going to do? You have to sit them, and you maybe rotate them. Like working guys in, not let them get too cold because you got so many great guys you want to, pick from all the way year long. But is he going to be one of the first 6? Probably not. No.
All right. Tone?
No, I don't think he will be, but I think he will be up on the team before the year's over, and I think he'll actually be on the playoff roster.
Wow.
Okay. I think Nemitz won't start, but I do think that he will crack it eventually.
I love what you're saying, though. It's getting me excited that he's going to be so good that we can't send him down, right?
Yeah, I watched him play, in those IIHFs, and the guy, he's going to be good. I mean,
Hughes, Hamilton, and Nemec all score from the blue line in the playoffs.
I'm so excited to see this kid when he makes it up here, and he will, and it will be this year, but it will not be out of training camp. I agree with everything you guys just said.
Fitzgerald said
John Fitzgerald said that he said that if he has to, if Simone Nemec, and I'm paraphrasing, well, basically he wants him to be he wants Nemec to come in and just not give them a reason to send him down. He wants to come in and just play so good, and he said if that's the case, he's up. So they're putting it all. They're expecting him with sometime this year to be with the big club, whether it's at a training camp or whether it's later on.
It's weird. It's an interesting comment because on the other side of that comment, what's not said but implied by it is he's also not part of our plan for what we must do this year. Right. He could be a bonus to our plan. But, if he sits, that's what I hear him saying at the same time he's saying, I'd love for him to come do above and beyond that I even expect is basically what he's saying.
It's kind of like, we don't need him to make the team. Imagine if we do, if he does make the team. Right. And then you got to push somebody out, too, which is kind of a scary thought. I mean, we just got Miller, Siegenthaler. Who do you push out?
Yeah, I mean,
certain guys have certain roles.
I think that when this blue line develops a little bit more, I do think that a guy like Siegenthaler will be a healthy scratch some nights. I just think it's too deep, this blue line. And
this all happens before trade deadline. We have another piece to make a move too.
True.
Yeah,
that is true.
It'd be a good time to get rid of one of those guys. You just don't think you're going to ride in the playoffs.
Right. And if a guy maybe has a year or two left, and you don't know what's
think about it, that's a hell of a guy to come on the market because we're talking about those are all great names, and great prospects, or whichever way they want to go with it. That's going to get you something at the trade deadline if you need to.
I mean, I know that we discussed it, and I think there's a lot of truth to it that the blue line is going to, I think, have some hiccups in the beginning of the year. But when they do gel, whether or not Nemec is in there, but when they gel, they should be fucking really, really dominant.
Yes.
It is so exciting to see. One more guy, true or false, going to make it out of camp, Graham Clark. Bob, Graham Clark on this team come to game 1?
I think I might have got on my second beer at this point because I remember.
It's all getting hazier and hazier.
I mean, Bobby froze.
I got to tell you.
So he spilled beer on his modem.
I am getting more and more impressed with this guy and his skill set. And you can argue why he would make it over Holtz, but based on the argument I made before and another guy like Foote wouldn't even mention yet, no, this is not his year. He will not break camp.
Okay. And what about you, Dan?
I gave very little consideration to this question last time, and the reason is my head started hurting, thinking, "Wait a second, what? That's even more spots to contend. We're talking about 12 players, well, maybe less than that, but how many positions he could fill out of those 12." And in the end, I said, "Fuck it, why not?" And that's what I'm going to stick with because I still don't want to think about it.
Fair enough. How about you, Tone?
It's too hard.
I'm going to jump back to the last question where Dan said a chip to be moved, and I believe Graham Clark will not start out with the team, but I believe he will play before the trade deadline, and I believe he will be part of a deal.
I hope he's not, because I really like his upside even more than I like Alex Holtz's upside. I think that Graham Clark is probably going to start the season.
I've yet to see him actually play. You guys have seen some playing. I've just gone on the stuff I read from him and the kind of player he sounds like. He sounds like, boy, I don't want to have to trade him off, Tony. But what you say sounds possible.
I watched him play some Utica games, and he is, he's definitely good. I just don't know. I don't know why he came up last year, as we know, and sat in the press box for like a game and then went back down. So
yeah,
but I see a guy like Graham Clark. I think if he even gets a sniff of this lineup, he's going to produce, and he's going to be very difficult to get him out of that lineup. Where Holtz, I kind of feel like this is his last chance, and they'll have no problem if they have to plug Graham Clark into Holtz's spot if Holtz isn't doing it.
He seems like a grittier player than Holtz.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's going to go. So I'm going to say false.
What's interesting about Holtz is, we could be wrong, and this guy could really come out next year and just,
sure.
turn into a
and that's what we're hoping, right?
Yeah, I mean, because this guy, he does have a lot of talent. It's just, we haven't really. I think with our lineup, especially last year, with how stacked we were, how the team played in general, you almost forgot about Holtz. It was like you put him to the side because you were watching guys.
I put him on the bench for the year early on.
Yeah,
I was like, that's it, we're done.
Yeah,
we were flying and rolling over people.
All right. Next question number 15. We're almost done. A few more questions. This one's time to nut up, boys. Put your money where your mouth is. The New Jersey Devils will win the Eastern Conference and play for a Stanley Cup. True or false? Bob?
This one I remember very specifically. Because at first I just thought it was best points in the East, if I recall. And that's not the question. So I stood by it. I said, yes, this team will play for the Cup this year.
Okay. Dan?
Yeah. I think I might have mentioned last time that I feel like, look, when you're looking this far ahead at basically picking the top two to finish the playoffs of the season you haven't even started it, it's crazy prognostication, which is probably not going to be a solid bet. But, that said, okay, you got to pick one, right?
Yeah.
How do you not pick the Devils for this shot? I mean, do I sit here and go, okay, they're not the top three of the Eastern Conference? Of course they are. And do I think that them at their best can beat those other two teams or anybody below them? Yeah, I do. So right now, today, I don't think too many stars have to align for that to happen. Okay, making these calls, you're asking for things to kind of go your way to get there. But I think the Devils are the safest bet when you have to make a call like this. So I'm saying yes.
All right.
Maybe in the whole league, you want to know the truth.
All right.
So I believe I said no last show, and it's a tough one. I hope I'm wrong.
You want to reconsider?
You know what it is? I mean, we got really lucky last year with no injuries, right? We were really fortunate, and that can always change things. I'm not sold on the goaltending 100% as much as I really want to be. So I'm going to say no, and I hope I'm wrong. And it's really hard for me to say that even. I'm just trying not to be like the homer guy, as I love my team. And I really think, last year I thought, the way we played against Carolina, if you would have asked me when that series started, I never thought that would have been our team out there. I mean, but yeah,
right. So that you could get a bad performance out of nowhere. All these things can happen, Tony. You're right. Yeah. I get you. And you mentioned the injuries. I wasn't even factoring injuries in. Of course, that's like such a. That's why you play the games.
I mean, I think more than anything, I want these guys to, of course, win a cup. Again, with Vitek Vanacek and Akira Schmid, I'm going to say false. If we're going into the playoffs and we have Hollaback in net, or we have a Jeremy Swayman or a Linus Ullmark in net, then my tune changes. But right now, with the goaltending that we have come playoff time, I do not think they can make it out of the Eastern Conference. So I'm going to say false.
What is it, 2 years to get Shesterkin?
That'd be awesome. All right. Speaking of Shesterkin and the Rangers, question number 16. True or false? The first round of the playoff, the first round opponent for the Devils in round one will be the Rangers again. Bobby, true or false? Will we be playing the Rangers in round one again?
I think that I've started to come around the last couple of months claiming that we can overtake Carolina for the top seed, which would naturally put them at 2 and 3 against the Rangers. So no, we will not play the Rangers in the first round.
Okay. And you, Dan?
Bob, if I understand you correctly, you said that you think we're not going to win the conference against
No, I
Carolina?
think we're going to win the Metro.
Okay,
over
win the
Carolina.
Metro.
So Carolina's
okay.
going to play the Rangers because it's the 1, 2, 3 in the Metro.
Gotcha. I thought that would have changed things for us, but I guess not because you got
not unless the Rangers fall way down.
Right. Which is kind of what I see. I kind of feel like it's, first of all, it's such a 50-50. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. This question is insane.
Sure.
So I don't think there's any bad answers, but I'm going to say maybe, and I might be changing my tune here, but I think maybe it's more likely than not that because it's like 3 factors that have to change, and it's more likely than not that you won't get all 3 again. So I think, and that the others won't cover it. It's a math problem. I don't know. I'm definitely going to go with the Devils. I don't know. Tony, you go first. I'm going to think about this.
Well, you said true last time, so we'll keep it at true.
There you go.
I don't remember.
What do you think, Tone?
I think, unfortunately, we are. I mean, whoever thought that playing the Rangers was going to get old in a playoff series, but I think we're going to see them again next year.
Yeah, I agree. We are going to see them in the first round.
All right. No, now I'm reconsidering that. I think we might not.
Well, I am, like you said, it's a coin flip. I can argue
because
both sides.
If we win, which is more likely, all the Rangers have to do is not do as good as they did last year, and I think that's very possible, dude.
I agree.
True.
I agree.
That's why I'm saying I changed my mind here. I don't think it's
so. You want to go to false?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. After much and probably way too much reconsideration on that one. I'm going to say.
Fair enough.
That was painful.
You saw a lot of back and forth there.
Well, yeah, you had the whole conversation with yourself. It was fun.
Yeah, I know. I gotta shorten those up for you guys. Why should you be tortured with the voices in my head?
It's no torture at all. Number 17. Devils were one of 2 teams last year to not be shut out over all 82 games. Does it happen again? Do the Devils go 82 games with putting pucks in the net for every single one, Bob?
Is this the final question?
No, we have 3 more.
I'm really scared to touch my keyboard or anything. I don't want to lose this segment again. They will get shut out this year. That takes so much for that to happen. They're a great team. They had so many last-second comebacks. I think it's great, and they may only get shut out once, but yes, statistically, they will get shut out.
All right. Dan?
All right. This is where I stopped caring about some of the questions, I think. And I said I think I said they would.
You said they would go all season without being shut out.
That's kind of crazy, and I just was like, yeah, sure, why not? And the truth is, I think Bobby made a very good argument. Maybe that's why I said no, just because I didn't want to agree with Bob at the time. Who knows?
I get it.
Bob's right. He's right.
Fucked up the whole show. So.
Statistically, it's so ridiculous to say you're not going to get shut out. But I'm going to tell you this. If anybody can make that attempt this year, it's the Devils. Still, statistically, I guess I know.
Okay. And you, Tone?
No, they will not do that again. I think that there was I want to say it was the last 2 weeks of the season. A couple times it was like amazing that what we were talking, like what Nico put a goal in with like it was like .13 or whatever the hell it was.
It was something stupid right at the end.
Crazy.
I think that was against Winnipeg or something. Yeah.
And it's just hard to do that, I mean, but it was great last year, but I think that will not be the same result this year.
Yeah, I'm going to go false too. Every team has off nights. You get into a goalie that's just hotter than hell, standing on their heads, making every save. I'm going to go false. Just out of the sheer statistics of it, yeah, we are probably going to get shut out at some point. All right. So Dawson Mercer, 2 years now, he's been in the league, has not missed a game. He is the Devil Iron Man with 82 games played both of his last 2 seasons. True or false, Dawson Mercer will play all 82 3 years in a row. Bob?
That is true. Love the kid. He's not coming out of lineup for anything. He'll make it again this year.
All right. Dan?
I'm not going to bet against that. I mean, I think he can do it if anybody can. Why not have a Devil's Iron Man? It's been a long time since we had anybody make any kind of run like that I could think of.
Yeah. All right, Tone?
I always got to be Mr. Negative, all death and depressing. I'm going to say no, he will not. He, of course, the guy's been a badass, but in reality, I could picture, missing a game or 2 for just some kind of bang up before the playoffs or something, maybe give him a rest. I don't know how that would work.
Until he misses a game, I'm going true. He's not going to. He'll do it again. All 82. All right. The number over under, the number is 50 points for Andre Palat this year. Over or under 50, Bob?
Under, with the understanding that he's going to be much improved, probably double his goals or close to it, but just shy of 50. Under.
Okay. All right. And Dan?
I don't know. I think I had very little thought given to this one, and I probably said under. So I'm going to stick with that.
All right. And how about you, Tone?
I don't remember what I said, but I'm going to say over.
That's what you said.
There we go.
There you go.
I'm going to go over too. I just think he's got way too much talent. It's his second full year in the system on this team. I expect a lot more from Andre Palat. He'll get his 50 points and then some. And the last
awesome.
question. Now Patrice Bergeron is out of the league. Does Nico Hischier win the Selke Trophy this year? True or false? Nico Hischier will win the Selke this year, Bob.
All right, you got me on a good one again here. I remember the discussion deeply, and we kind of all agree that there's kind of a pecking order that now he's maybe vaulted to the top of a little bit, but I know how these things work. He's still a Devil. It's going to be tough, but I think he's got all the makings of a player that deserves it. So, yeah, sure. As Dan would say, why not?
All right. And,
Okay. Yeah. I thought you were going the other way with that, Bob. I thought you were going to say, because you brought up, I think
like to
this
keep you
didn't come
guessing.
up last time. You're right. When it comes down to the actual voting at that time, he's a Devil, and that's going to definitely weigh against him. So when you're a Devil fan, sometimes in your joy you forget all that and you just go, "Hey, his numbers are better than that guy's, and he's going to do it." Yeah, he can. But you're right. That's something to worry about. So I'm not going to turn negative now. So I'll say he's going to do it. Yes.
All right. And how about you, Tone?
Yes, he will do it, I believe.
Yeah. I agree, too. I think he wins it. I think that, it's the next step for him. Now he's got to go and be one of the best defensive forwards in the league and do it for a considerable amount of time. So that was part one and part two. Well, part two just here, but we are now finished. So at the end of the next season, we'll go back and we'll see how right or most likely how wrong we all are. And we'll go from there.
All right.
The Uncle Puckers is brought to you in part by DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. Bet just $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelplinema.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700 on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. In West Virginia, gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. All games regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly. In partnership with Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. 1 boost per eligible game. Opt-in required. Max bet $50. 10 plus leg required for a 100% boost. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Remember, bet just $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code THPN.
I bet you they won't call.
Chris here for Raycon wireless earbuds. Now, we've all been there. You pay an arm and a leg for a pair of premium earbuds, only to find that the only thing premium about them was their price. That's why the Uncle Puckers only use Raycon wireless earbuds. Whether you're relaxing at the beach, listening to your favorite summer playlist, or catching up with your favorite hockey podcast at the gym, Raycons are the best way to listen. Raycons have tap functions to easily toggle between 3 customizable sound profiles like noise isolation and awareness mode. They come with custom gel tips for the most comfortable in-ear fit. A 32-hour battery life, including 8 hours of playtime, so you can listen to what you want, when you want, for a really long time. and they start at half the price of other premium audio brands, but they sound just as good. And with the 30-day happiness guarantee, you really can't lose. So what are you waiting for? Create your own soundtrack with Raycon. Right now, Uncle Pucker listeners can get 15% off their Raycon order at buyraycon.com/THPN. That's buyraycon.com/THPN to save 15% on Raycons. buyraycon.com/THPN. You guys want to do some power rankings?
Oh yeah.
I have done my 16-1 power rankings for the Eastern Conference, and I want your guys' opinion and argue with me if you feel that I am anyway completely off base. But this is 1.0. I will do these throughout the season and see how they match up. So this is for the beginning of the year, our power rankings. And we have that sounder that we made about a year ago, Dan, and we've never played it for power rankings.
Oh, I totally forgot about it.
Want to play it? Ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Max Power.
I love this one.
Max Power.
You underestimate my power.
How did I forget
love
you made that
one.
one?
Great.
That was a brilliant. This is
That was
this
pre-
alone.
that was pre-Tony
we need
and
to do
Bob.
this every week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What was that, Dan?
This means we have to do power rankings like every week.
I don't know if I'm
something.
going to... All right, then you
I
guys
like
got to
that.
do them next. So
It's like Devil You Know. I don't even really know if I care for the game that much. I just like the intro.
yeah, it's the fart. I
mean,
mean, that's it.
Yeah, but it was better than that one.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I
It
don't
was-
make the
yeah.
sounders.
The
That was a
fart
theatrical fart, and I can't believe that you actually pulled that off.
The fart.
Like, I was going to say you ad-libbed this, right? Why don't
Well-
we take everybody through that one?
Okay.
All right.
So I was on another site and I was putting together, the sound and doing the sounder for the Devil You Know, and I had a couple of different tracks. So as I was putting a few in, and then my stomach started rumbling a little, so I hit record, and I put my ass to the microphone and I ripped a giant fart, and it made
I'll
it
tell you
onto
this:
the sounder.
you were like the opera singers of farts. I will tell you why. If you gave me this task, I want to find the perfect audio fart, Dan, and you gave me like 100 takes. I'm sitting there for like a week collecting all audio. I don't think any of them sound as good as yours.
It really
that
was
like
nice.
what your mind's eye thinks the farts should sound like, and I thought it was eerie. It was like you're a voice actor for assholes.
We've now lost all our female listeners. All 2 female listeners are now gone.
You should hear me. You should hear me queef.
Maybe we'll come up with some kind of special contest that involves that on a weekly basis.
Oh, fuck me. All right, power rankings. Okay. Number 16 in the Eastern Conference, guys. Argue with me if you think I'm wrong. I have the Philadelphia Flyers coming in dead last in the Eastern Conference. The 31 wins, 38 losses, 13 overtime losses for 75 points. They were 7th in the Metro. They're rebuilding. I think this season is going to be a step back. I just think it has to be before they can really figure out what they have and start moving forward. I think Philly's doing a lot of things the right way. I just think this year, I mean, they do have Carter Hart, but I just see them not making it any better than last freaking place in the entire conference. So, any disagreements on that?
No,
Number
just-
5. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I won't chime in on all of them, of course, just one or two. But yeah, you mentioned in Philly's case here, this is definitely not a knock on them. This is more about them actually doing it the right way. And based on that and everything,
it's like a
probably
knock
gonna
on
land
them,
them in
too,
last
though.
place. It's always nice to knock on them, but I don't think
Yeah.
this really is.
No, I take it.
It was nice putting them at number 16, I have to
I
say.
just can't wait to, like, out of anything with that team, I just can't wait to watch Torts throughout the season, like, just freak out and,
That's
just
if
live.
Torts makes it to the end of the season
Yeah.
with, look, the bottom line is you have a guy, a head coach who I believe is probably the worst guy for a young rebuilding team. If you make mistakes on Torts' team, he fucking sits you. You're not going to, like, there's no way to learn. Like, you
Right.
have to let the guys make mistakes, and Torts is not that guy. So I don't know how long he'll last.
I think the thing with
this
Torts,
rebuild.
too, is you always hear with him is that, like, the older players always appreciate him. It's the younger players. It's just the different, as we've been saying for the last, 15 years, hockey's changed so much. The type of players have changed because a lot of the older dudes like Torts, but the younger guys, it's just, he is.
And the city of Philadelphia deserves this honor. I just would like to throw that out there.
I agree. If there was any place to go lower than last place, I would put them there.
Throw them in the West.
So number 15, I have the Montreal Canadiens. They went 31-45-6 for 68 points and last in the Atlantic. They're trying to do some good things, but the way the rest of the Eastern Conference is, I see them, they're definitely going to have more than 68 points, but I don't see them any better than 15th in the conference. Number 14, I have the Columbus Blue Jackets. They were 25-48-9 last year for 59 points, last in the Metropolitan Division. They made a lot of good moves. They got Babcock in. I question their top defensive pairing with Damon Severson on it, but if that's what they think, they have him for a lot of term and a lot of money, and I think that can be a contract they're going to end up regretting in a couple of years. But I think the Blue Jackets are going in the right direction. They're going to be better, and I think that's going to move them from last in the Metro to second to last in the Metro.
Yeah, I was going to say this kind of comes around nice full circle for a conversation we had before. We all said they probably are going to be a little bit better. They almost statistically have to be a little bit better, but there's only so far up you can put them. So right. I think having them leapfrog a couple of teams is pretty logical. That sounds good.
And then number 13, I have the Detroit Red Wings. They were 35-45-6 last year for 68 points. That was good for 7th in the Atlantic. I just don't think that Yzerman did enough. I some of his moves are a little bit questionable. I know that a lot of people have him pegged to make a big jump forward. I don't really see it. I see them smack dab as 7th in the Atlantic again, right above Montreal. I think that's exactly how it's going to play out at the end of this year too.
I'm going to disagree with that one.
Yeah?
I see them definitely staying above the Washington Capitals. And at this point, you have the Capitals above them. So they're not going to take a giant leap, but enough to go a point or two above Detroit.
Anybody else think that?
Too. I kind of agree with Bob.
I think, yeah, I mean, it makes a very good argument there. Don't forget Washington, as the effect they're going to have on that.
Well, I'm sticking with 13. I like them there. Number 12, I have the New York Islanders. 42-31-9 for 93 points. They just made the playoffs. They were 4th in the Metro. It ain't going to happen again this season. They're just, the age is going to catch up with them. The Eastern Conference is way too fast and way too young. They will take a step backwards, and the Islanders are in 12th. They're going to end up 3rd from last, or what would that be? 6th place in the Metro.
Yeah, I don't think anybody sees them not going downward. The question is it that big of a fall? That's the tough one. But I think it's believable. I can see it happening.
Yeah, he's right.
Number 11, the aforementioned Washington Capitals. I have them. They were 6th in the Metro last year with 35-37-10 for 80 points. And look, we've talked about it ad nauseum. It's the Ovi show. They didn't do enough to get better and compete with the rest of the conference. I just see them there because of their raw skill with some of their nucleus players. They're going to be a team that's not going to be an easy out on most nights, but they're definitely beatable. I see them better than the Islanders, Blue Jackets, and Flyers in that division, but not much more.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they add Pax already, right? They add on to that.
Yeah, they added Pacioretty on,
but it's getting old. That's a good team that's aging also. So I don't know.
And number 10, and we're in the top 10. I have the Ottawa Senators at number 10. Last year they were 39-35-8 for 86 points. 6th in the Atlantic. They're going to be a lot better. They should be in the hunt for a wild card. They have their goalie in Korpisalo. They have, Brady Tkachuk and just a lot of really good guys. I think this team is going to be on the bubble later on in the year. They're going to be playing important games later in the season. I don't have them right now making the playoffs, but I could definitely be wrong on that. We'll see how the year shakes out. But right now, the Ottawa Senators are number 10. Number 9, I had the Florida Panthers at number 9.
Wow.
They were 42-32-8 for 92 points and 4th in the Atlantic. Brandon Montour and Aaron Ekblad are not going to be starting the season. We don't know how healthy Tkachuk's going to be with his busted sternum. I don't necessarily trust Bobrovsky. I see him taking a step back.
You're not looking at a repeat year for the Florida Panthers.
Oh, I see them in the exact same position this year that they were last year, fighting for a playoff spot at the end of the season with a few other teams.
Good point.
But
I think they make the playoffs, though. I mean, Sam Bennett. I mean, Kachuk. I can't count him out. I think he'll be ready by. I have no doubt, actually, that this guy's going to be ready.
His chest is broken. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, right now I have them. Right now on this power ranking, I have them on the outside, looking in, and we'll put this up on X and Instagram. So anybody wants to argue with it, they can argue it. And these are probably going to change quite a few times. But as of right now, I see Florida on the outside looking in.
Interesting. And, in a way, this is the most interesting of all the power rankings choices because you got the whole season ahead of you, know, with no fine tuning.
Yeah, and we
kind of more
kind of see where everything.
From Colorado. Yeah. Did they pick up Rodriguez from Colorado? I believe too. That's
Evan Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Did he go to Florida?
I think
I think he did.
Years. Yeah.
He's a bottom six guy. I like him. He was good in Pittsburgh. So these would be my playoff teams right now. Starting at number 8, I have the Boston Bruins, 65, 12-5 last year for 135 points. Best record ever. It is just inevitable they're going to take a step back, but I have them taking a big step back. I think losing Bergeron and Krejci is going to be devastating, and Marchand and Pasta, they're not going to be able to do it on their own. I do think that their goaltending and their blue line is second to none. I think they might have the best blue line in the league, and their goaltending is fantastic, but it's not going to be easy for those forwards. And with no centers, I see them having a heck of a lot of trouble staying in the mix in the Atlantic. So I have Boston, huge drop. They're going to make the playoffs, but it's going to be really scary for Bruin fans. They're not going to have it locked up by Christmas like they did last year. Got a new team coming in, and this is probably where I think the arguments will start coming in. So I have number 7. I have the Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo is 42-33-7 with 91 points. That was good for 5th in the Atlantic. They were, I think, 1 point away from a playoff spot because what did Florida have last year? 92 points. They were exactly 1 point away from that final wild card spot. This is going to be their coming out party this year. This is going to be a really good year for Buffalo. They have Dahlin, Thompson, like these dudes are dogs, and
Connor Clifton too.
They added Connor Clifton. I just like what they're doing. I like their style of play. I think the playoff drought ends this year, and the Buffalo Sabres will make it at number 7. So number 6, I have the New York Rangers, 47-22-13 for 107 points and 3rd in the Metro. I don't see that happening again this year. I see them taking a step back. I just don't know if they have the guys on the team that can compete with the speed of the Carolinas and the Devils and the Bostons. And the Buffaloes and the Torontos. I don't see it. They have the best goalie in the world, but with all these other teams, Ottawa and even Detroit, Buffalo, taking some of these points away from people, I think the Rangers are in a very, very rough position right now because they can take a step back, and I think it can be a considerable step. So I have the Rangers right now at number 6. And what did they do in the offseason? Not a whole lot.
Right? I mean, that's
Blake Wheeler,
which I like. Wheeler, but I mean, he's a 30-plus-year-old guy. I mean, what's he gonna?
They don't even have Alexis Lafreniere signed yet. I mean, I don't know
what he's gonna do. It's weird. Question marks.
Now, I thought that the Rangers and this next team would be the one that people would fight me over. Number 5, I have the Penguins.
Yeah.
At 40-31-11 for 91 points, 5th in the Metro. I just see the additions of Graves and Carlson. It's going to make them better. I don't think it's going to make them a ton better, but I think they will fight with the Rangers for that 3rd spot in the Metro this year. And because of Mike Sullivan behind the bench, I'm going to give that edge to Pittsburgh. So nice. That's the main reason why I'm going about it. I'm going to give the edge to Pitt.
Lars Eller now, right?
Yeah.
Did they pick up?
I think. Yeah, they got Lars Eller.
They got Lars Eller? Okay. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I do. I think this one's a little weird. I didn't think you were kind of that bullish on the Pens, to be honest with you. Just I don't see them improving maybe a little bit, but some of the teams they're ahead of here are some pretty impressive teams. So you really kind of went out on a limb here.
Well, I mean,
you got the Bruins falling all the way down. That's
do.
one thing that is odd. You got Florida not making it. I think Buffalo has a chance to be a better team than the Penguins. So I'm not maybe arguing that they can be in the top 8. I just don't know
Pennsylvania
the placement
is split between two cities, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. And Bobby has had enough of Philadelphia to hate Pittsburgh. That's what's happened here, guys.
I think you're right. I could defend this a little bit. And, when you're starting a season, no games have been played. I have to look at what these teams have done in the offseason, what are the additions they've done, the losses that they've had, and how do I think they're going to play out with those additions. I take into consideration, like I said, with the Rangers and the Penguins, it came down to coaching for me. And you got Peter Laviolette, who hasn't coached one game for the Rangers yet. And you have Sullivan, who is an amazing head coach, who gets his team to play hard every year.
That's well-reasoned.
Sidney Crosby is still Sidney Crosby. He's still playing, plays good hockey. I think that, Pittsburgh will be over the Rangers on that. And now
I would just like a follow-up question real quick here. Bob, do you think Pennsylvania, in particular Philadelphia, has rubbed off on you a little bit? Do you have an affinity for the Penguins that maybe you didn't have before you moved?
No, if anything, first of all, the Penguins are a non-factor. They're a non-factor here.
Not an affinity, but hatred for.
Why do you think that Boston has a better chance than where I put them? I mean, and I'm just curious.
I see why you slid them down. And, I mean, Boston, like you said, defense and their goaltending. I know their forward lines are an absolute mess. Forget about that point. That's just because optically that's so weird to see that season drop all the way down.
I get you. I'm with you. It stands out.
If I'm looking at last year, and I know the Penguins just barely missed the playoffs, but what you're doing is throwing them up to 5th. Now, the difference between 5th and 9th last year was 16 points. Now, not saying the fifth place team is going to get 107 points again,
right?
But thereabouts, that's a huge jump. That's not, they got a little bit better. I mean, that's pretty significant.
They have, if they end up 5th, right now, I think what the 5th seed was last year going into the playoffs for the Eastern Conference was
the 5th
Tampa?
ranked point team. I'm doing the Eastern Conference by points.
Yeah, but Tampa
Rangers
was
were 107.
No,
this is not playoff seeding.
You had Boston, you had Carolina, you had the Devils, you had Tampa, and then the Rangers. Toronto, rather, Rangers. And then the Rangers, and then Tampa. Right. Okay. So, I can totally see a world where the Rangers drop down that much. I do. I can see it.
So they drop by 16 or more, and the Penguins gain.
It's 15 or 16
I don't know if
points
it's going to
really
be
that much, though.
I'm just saying it's like 8 more wins.
How many points did we jump up last year?
40-something? 46?
Yeah, so 15 or 16 is not even, you're almost 3 times less than what we did last year. So it's not so outrageously impossible.
Well, you put it this way. These teams win one more game a month is 14 points.
Sure.
All you have to, when you really put it down that way, to put but everything you're saying makes perfect sense. And like I said,
absolutely, you could well be right, Bob. In the end, I could see it both ways.
Either one of these can go either. Absolutely.
After 2 months of the season, when we stop and we look at this, I mean, these could be way off. I'm just, like I said, going by the moves or lack thereof. I look at what Boston lost.
Yeah.
What was that?
That's something scary.
Yeah. You're trying to scare us, Tony?
No, I get you. You wanted to be challenged a little bit, so I wanted to point that one out.
No. I look at Boston, and it's like you've lost so much, and you haven't gained much at all. Like it just you can't replace the things that they've lost with what they've done. So I just see it being a shit show, and not to mention,
think I'd be all over the Penguins with my Ryan Graves over there,
right? And I think he's going to help this team. I think he's going to help the team, and I think he's going to help that team more than Carlson's going to help them because I think that Graves is a better defender.
I was like a jilted lover. That's what's going on here.
Yeah, is that it? You're a scorned lover.
Yeah.
Tired of Penguins.
All right,
you're not going to like
4.
the Penguins as much as you like me.
Here we go.
Top 4. I have at number 4 the Tampa Bay Lightning, 46, 30, and 6 for 98 points, 3rd in the Atlantic. It's the first time in 4 years that they're actually rested, and I do think that does mean something. I just look at the pedigree. They're just too good. Their nucleus is there, the goalie, the coach. They're not done. I'm going Tampa is going to be, right now, my power ranking number 4.
Wow. I've noticed you a little bit more up on Tampa than I had even considered. Even the last time we did a little over under and stuff. And I didn't even really give them that close of a look. You're thinking there's a lot more left, huh?
I do. I do think there's a lot more left.
And I think with Tampa, if you look at, you kind of forget who's on that roster sometimes. I mean, it really is a pretty stacked roster.
They did have a very quiet year, I guess, is what happened.
And the best goalie in hockey. I mean, you could argue with Shesterkin, I guess, but I mean, to me, Vasilevsky is the best I've seen in the last 10 years.
Right, and you could just look at how consistently good they've been since they started getting good as this core developed. And to have one off year as the last year in a longer run is not impossible. Yeah. So I see what you're saying, but I had kind of in my mind, just based on their performance, maybe written them off a little bit more than I had seriously considered.
I watched every game in that first round, and they outplayed Toronto in every single game. They just went up against they couldn't get the puck in. I mean, that was it. They just
I know. I wanted to blame it all on the refs going into the series because I figured the refs are going to be in the bed for them, and but I don't think it was. I mean, Toronto just has caught a little magic every time they needed it.
Well, I got one team that is going to move up a little bit from last year at number 3. They came in second in the Atlantic last year. I got the Toronto Maple Leafs at number 3. They 50, 21, and 11 for 111 points. They were second in the Atlantic. They added Domi. They added Bertuzzi. They added Ryan Reeves. I'm still not 100% sure. They talk about their core 4 of, Tavares and Matthews and Meyer and Nylander. Those guys are all going to be there. It's a really, really good team. Goaltending is a little bit questionable for me. I don't know if Samsonov is the guy, but I'm going Toronto at number 3. They're going to win the Atlantic, and they're going to have that first seed there.
Plus that addition of Bertuzzi. I mean, and with that team you talk about with Toronto, I mean, Dubas is gone now, but after this year, they got they have to sign Matthews again after this year.
They have to. Well, that should be done. Hopefully,
Marner. So these are 3 guys. So this year is kind of the year you want to, and they look a lot tougher. I mean, I don't know
if they don't make it to a cup final this year, and it has to be a cup final. If they do not win the Eastern Conference totally this year and play for a cup final, I think that they blow it all up.
And I mean the whole literal city of Toronto. Toronto is just going to explode.
The entire
just the anger. Canadians just are not known for having anger. I think it's all been funneled into the Toronto. Well, I'm saying nobody's ever seen a Canadian blow up ever. They're always like, oh, no, it's okay. This is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. If Toronto doesn't go to the Cup Finals, I think all Canada might self-explode.
And
an anger well for the first time in a very disastrous
way. It will blow the minds of those flappy-headed little beady-eyed people.
There are good brothers to the north, but I think a lot of times we think they have infinite grace under patience. Insults and patience and never get angry. They're not really known for the road rage and stuff that is very American. And I think we didn't know this, but there has been a build coming, and it's going to go off like a goddamn volcano this year.
Just going to fucking playoff time.
Yep. Yes. And what if they have a rough start, right?
It's going to be dangerous.
It'll be felt all the way to Western New York.
I think they're going to invade us like they did in 1812 with the British, and they're going to take over America. Which is, I'm praying for this. This is going to be great.
This would not be such a bad thing. I'm just saying. So Toronto's coming in at number 3. Hopefully the city remains after the regular season. We'll wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2. That's our boys, New Jersey Devils, 52, 22, and 8 for 112 points. They're second in the Metro. Unfortunately, I see that remaining this year. Look, man, we talk about this team every day, so we don't really have to get into it. For everything that we ever talk about, this team is fucking loaded, and they should be really, really good. So, they're my number 2, which leads the Carolina Hurricanes, the number 1 in my power ranking last year, 52, 21, 9, 113 points, adding Bunting, adding Orlov, having, a great head coach, great structure. They're the team to beat. They are. I think that they're
a badass.
Yeah. I mean, does anybody disagree with the top 3 of Toronto, New Jersey, and Carolina?
I don't. It's not a disagreement because I can very easily see that working, of course. But I still maintain it was 1 point last year. I think the Devils can just as easily take that number 1 spot. But you make a great point. I mean, Carolina's to beat right now.
A lot of times when I do lists like this, when it comes to teams like Carolina and New Jersey, and I'm looking at them head to head, I stop and I look and I think of a Ric Flair, famous phrase, to be the man, you got to beat the man.
Fair enough.
Woo! They got to beat Carolina. That's it. You want to take that top speed, go fucking take it. And they didn't do it last year. It was only by 1 point. And I absolutely think they can. But right now, I have them at number 2. So those are my power rankings.
I get it. And, I was thinking, I think a lot of Devils fans were last year about 1 and 2 of your power ranks more than anything else, right? So, like, we were wondering next year, how do we, overtake them? Because we noticed that in the conference, Carolina was our best opponent.
Yeah.
They had the best team. And I think there's not a clear number 3. They're not even a close number 3.
I agree.
So when it comes down to those two teams, I was, thinking, yeah, they definitely could pass them this year too. But we moved up a lot, and they moved up a decent amount too. And they have that experience. So it's going to be, you got to be a bit of a homer to say that, Devils are going to be winning the whole conference no matter what, because they really – I don't think you're giving credit to what was a good Carolina team last year. It has also gotten better, even though maybe not as much as us. It just made that guess so much closer than last season. And,
I don't mind being the homer of all homers on this show. It
No,
doesn't bother
fine.
me at all. But
Hey.
in all honesty, realistically, I don't think we're going to have a 13-game winning streak this season like we did last season. Doesn't mean it's not going to be a better team. So that alone, if that just becomes, a 3 out of 4, then a 3 out of 5, that kind of thing, I can also see us losing to Carolina by, 5-6 points, and still be an absolutely great team with well over 100 points.
And speaking of the third spot for the Metro, I do see that being a battle between Pittsburgh and the Rangers. I do. I think that third seed is going to be a fucking battle between those two teams. And right now I have Pittsburgh with the edge, but, Rangers are a really good team. So we'll see how that goes. But like I said, at 2 months in, I'll go over it again and see how much these things change as far as the power rankings go when we actually see teams on the ice.
When you look at I don't know, you probably, if you push out of the top 6 in the Atlantic, right, we would have who's after the top 3 in the Atlantic. In other words,
top 3 in Atlantic, we have Toronto, Tampa, and I have the Buffalo Sabres as the.
So if you look at the Metro, I think that there's a good chance we'll have the wild card Metro over the. Atlantic. We're gonna have higher ranked teams that way.
If things play out the way that I have them playing out here, which of course isn't going to happen, it would have us playing Pittsburgh. It would have the Canes playing Boston. It would have Toronto playing the Lightning again. That would be the third year in a row.
Yeah, that would really favor the Metro, I think.
Yeah, and Buffalo would be playing. Who would Buffalo be playing? Oh no, the Buffalo would be playing. Buffalo would be playing Toronto,
which would be the only one that. Yeah,
Boston would be playing the Canes. We would be playing Pittsburgh, and in this situation, and the Lightning would be playing. Who would the Lightning? Buffalo. So that's how I had it. So we'll see how it goes.
Interesting. I think it's very believable. I like it.
Anything else that you guys want to add on this evening? Yes, Tone?
I do have a question, but first, Chris, I want to ask you, did you see that fight between the Bronco fans and the 49er fans?
No, I didn't. No.
I mean, what is going? These people are crazy. I mean, a full-out brawl in the stands. It's absolutely it goes on a lot of NFL games, but this was like
preseason, though? You're going to fight over preseason football? Yeah, preseason. Come on, man.
How bad is that? Like, it's preseason.
Because they're that's why we have the tickets cheap, and this is what happens. As soon as they come down, we don't have some wealthy businessman who's never going to get in a fight sitting in that seat, some kind of rabid fan. It's his only game he can afford.
Right.
He's probably blowing his kid's college fund on beer and just acting like an asshole.
It's amazing.
A preseason loss. But that's actually my question to you guys. I got one question before we get out of here. I know it's getting late. So for me, I have, obviously, it's all the same year, 2001. As you guys know, the Yankees lost to the Diamondbacks in the World Series with Rivera in the Game 7. The Raiders getting screwed by fucking Walt Coleman, the referee, with the tough rule over in 2001. Obviously, Tom Brady's journey starts to 5 million
Didn't get screwed.
rings.
It's a rule.
It is a rule. It's not a bullshit rule. It's a fucking rule.
Devils lose to the Avs in 2001. So all my teams lose this year, right? So Chris, I mean, I got to ask, I know, Dan, you're not a big football guy, so this may kind of go to hockey for you. What are some of the worst loss? Like, what is a loss that hit you the most, you guys think?
For me, I have the Vikings have broken my heart on more than one occasion. 1998 NFC Championship game against the Falcons. They were 15-1. They had scored more points than any team in the NFL up to that point. They were destined. They were going to the Super Bowl. Gary Anderson hadn't missed a field goal in like 2 years. He misses one in overtime. Atlanta kicks a field goal. That was back in the day where first score wins in overtime. And Atlanta goes on to the Super Bowl while we sit home. That was crushing. Dan, I was watching the game with you and your wife at the time. Well, not your wife at the time, but your girlfriend, who's now your wife. And after the game, I just nicely told them all to get the hell out of the house because I was about to lose my shit. 2009, Brett Favre playing for the Vikings, NFC Championship game in New Orleans. Favre throws a bad interception on a bullshit bench minor for too many men on the field. Saints go down, kick a field goal, win. That was really heartbreaking because that team would have won the Super Bowl. I really believe that. 2001, Devils, Colorado, Game 7. That was fucking heartbreaking. Those are my top three, I would say, that really ripped my heart out. I have a couple more for the Vikings, but those two especially really ripped my heart out and then just got stomped on. So what about you guys? Bobby?
Yeah, I'll throw the honorable mention to the 2000 Mets in the World Series. Games 1 and 2, Mondo Benitez. It was a pretty good closer that year. Blew both games. Game 3, Mets win. Game 4, good old Derek Jeter comes out. I think he leads off the game with a home run, just kind of shuts down any fake momentum that the Mets had gained in that one game. But it very easily could have been 3-0. And then maybe Derek Jeter doesn't even hit that home run. It's a whole different thing. So that one hurts as a kind of a collective for the series. But nothing hurts more than 2001 Game 7.
Yeah, that was a rough one.
Being down 3-1 and hearing that post get hit twice, too. Who knows what would happen if they tied it, right? Because it's still a game of inches, but damn, that's close. So, yeah, 2001 for sure.
How about you, Dan?
I definitely agree with that. 2001 is one of my top three. I mean, for the reasons you just said, that was, that one they should have won. You were there. You were believing. You didn't see any problem with this happening until, it was coming down to it. It was getting harder and they were dropping the ball. Yes. And Game 6, you knew it. And you go into Game 7, like, this is not how it's
not a position you want to be in.
I'll play Game 7 with this team, but not this way, not going in this way. You had that feeling, and you knew it was not the right. You just felt like it wasn't your night. Yeah,
dropping the ball in Game 6 and then having to travel out to Colorado for that Game 7. That was just the bad part. It was like, man, we had them at home.
Getting shut out at home, Game 6.
The cup was in the fucking building, guys. Yeah. It was in the fucking building.
So you're never going to get more energy than that. That's it.
God, and you know what? Painful. I always wonder, like, sometimes, you look at those things and you follow the team. You feel like you know them and you know how they win and you know how they lose. And this is not the way this team wins. I've seen you win, and this ain't it, guys. And you're just not putting it together right. And then kind
of like the opposite in 2003. You just kind of felt you knew we were going to win this.
Yeah,
2001.
Yeah, absolutely. They were doing everything right. And then also, you to go back to 95, they were the underdogs. And yet, guess what? This is like the joyous side of that feeling. Like, as we're watching your team drop the ball in 2001, it's just it's the exact opposite feeling of when you're the underdog going, there is a way, and they are doing it. And they are doing it, and you start believing, and like you are the underdog, and you believe. That's a great feeling.
And in 95, the Devils, this was back in when the Eastern Conference playoff standings was a 1-8, 2 played 7, 3 played 6, and 4 played 5. We were the 5th seed. It was the first time in the NHL that a team without home ice throughout the playoffs won the Stanley Cup. That was first time. And
you can't be more of an underdog than the Devils going into that playoffs, and that's a different story. And when you are a team that like the 2000 team, by the time you got there, and then in the 03 team. Well, the 01 team was kind of like that. Like, wait, you guys know how to win. You're amazing. Everything's coming more or less easier to you than that older Devils team. So just do it, dude. And you guys are just not executing. They didn't have wasn't like they didn't have a good enough team. Like, no, they dropped the ball.
And what about 94? You got that in there?
Oof, that's
Definitely.
a
Yeah,
We
94.
didn't know
I
we
mean,
brought it up.
Yeah, no, it was on my list. It was my short list, and my number one was a very sad knee by Nancy Kerrigan when she lost to a lead pipe in the Olympics. If I'm going to throw a random sport in for you,
That
there
was
you go.
terrible.
I thought that knee was going to stand up to the pressure, but it didn't.
It didn't.
And
it crumbled.
And in the it did.
Didn't Tanya Harding do porn afterwards or something?
She did.
I thought she was in an
Movies.
Oscar-winning movie or some shit. Somebody told me, so that's amazing. Good for you. You're doing both
What
porn
was the
and
name-
Oscars.
What was the name of the guy that smashed her knee? What was his name?
Jeff Gillooly.
Galooly.
I don't know why I remember this.
Jeff
My wife and
Galooly.
my kids brought up I, Tonya, that movie. That's why I was fucking around with it.
Right.
But they said like Emmy, like she started saying about like the names of the people. She's like, "How do you guys know these names?" 'Cause me and my wife are like, "Oh, we always remember Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding." Asked me to name another figure skater. Oh wait, I got one. Brian Boitano.
Brian Boitano.
But after that, I'm done. If you ask my whole youth,
Darcy
I can't
Hamill.
think of another one.
I could think of
All
a few
right.
more.
Names
But
from
Brian
my child,
Boitano.
like
What
Bobbit.
was
You
that?
never forget Bobbit, right? You never forget a Bobbit.
Oh yeah,
when you
Lorraine
grow up.
Bobbitt. Well, I don't remember
These
his
are
name.
Names you don't forget. I
She
mean,
wasn't in the Olympics, but I get
No.
your point.
No, she wasn't.
tossing of the.
Yeah.
Of the penis.
Come on.
All right.
It's
On-
like the shot put. It's the
So-
putz putt.
we're gonna leave this show ending up on cut off dicks. So thanks, Tone. And
As we always do.
as we always do. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for checking us out. And remember, we're on the Hockey Podcast Network now, so you can find us there as well as any place else that you get your podcasts. So subscribe, like, give us 5 stars, tell a friend, whatever you can do to help us move this podcast forward. It helps spread the word, and it really helps us grow it. So we really appreciate it. For Tony, Dan, Bobby, I'm Chris. We are the Uncle Puckers, and we'll see you when we see you.
Peace.
Later.
Puck is out.
Peace.
Okay.
Are we not doing that?
No, it's all good.
We're still leaving. Psych. You want more? You got more.
Oh, what
Some
a
point,
shit
though.
show.
It's over, Johnny.
Hopefully that worked.
It's over.
All right.